interesting purge going on at the DNC. Now, when Tom Perez won, he was backed by the entirety of the establishment, mainly pushed by Barack Obama. They wanted to make sure that Keith Ellison didn't win. Keith Ellison had supported Bernie Sanders, and he was a progressive, and they didn't want that. So they sent in Tom Perez, and they said, oh, yeah, no, I mean, he's done some things at labor. He's fine, he's a good progressive, don't worry about it. And it was a hard-fought battle, and they played super dirty, and they had some terrible charges that they put out about Keith Ellison. I don't want to repeat them. Now, they never do that to Republicans, but when it was progressives, they knew how to fight dirty. Against progressives, obviously, if you're there, because they're the Democratic establishment. Now, at the time, though, after he won, they said, oh, kumbaya, Keith Ellison is gonna join as vice chair, it's okay. We got a Unity Reform Commission, it's gonna do reforms, we're gonna unify, we're gonna bring in some Bernie Sanders people, not as much as Hillary Clinton people. Okay, I get it, she won the primary, and so whatever you do, don't worry, okay? This is all together, hold hands. Not anymore. Now, all of a sudden, it looked like it was a fun wedding until they took out the daggers and it turned into a red wedding, or in this case, maybe a blue wedding. So let me tell you what happened next. NBC News reporting, a shakeup is underway at the Democratic National Committee as several key longtime officials have lost their posts, exposing a still raw rift in the party and igniting anger among those in the progressive wing. Now, look, they're gonna get rid of a bunch of Ellison and Bernie supporters. I'm gonna tell you all about that. But the most important thing is why NBC News did not report that, but I will. Okay, but let me give you more details about what happened here. Complaints began immediately after party officials saw a list of Perez's appointments to DNC committees and his roster of 75 at-large members who are chosen by the chair. So he has a new list, he gets rid of a bunch of people in very important committees and he gives in new people. Okay, the removal and demotion of a handful of veteran operatives stood out, as did what critics charge as the overrepresentation of Clinton-backed members on the Rules and Bylaws Committee, which helps set the terms for the party's presidential primary. Here we go. So when everybody was looking and there was a big interesting race going on, oh, kumbaya. Now people are not looking as much, and so now all of a sudden, the Rules Committee gets to make the decisions on what the Unity Reform Commission suggests. So the way that they worked is, unity, we're gonna bring it together, but it's okay, we're gonna do reform. Now, they're about to make their recommendations, they just had a meeting in Vegas, but their recommendations goes to the Rules Committee. The Rules Committee now has nothing but Clinton supporters. So they could take those recommendations and go, oh, so glad you helped us do that kabuki theater about unity. Oh, look at these funny reforms. Yeah, no, we're not doing that, okay? So let me tell you who got purged at these different committees and some that were at large members. Ray Buckley, the New Hampshire Democratic chairman and longtime DNC official who ran against Perez for chair before backing Representative Keith Ellison. Buckley lost his spots on the executive committee and the DNC Rules Committee. Oh, you backed Ellison? No, we can't have you on the Rules Committee. They're gonna make the decisions. Now, one of those decisions is really important. Again, NBC, great job in reporting this, but they don't have the next layer as to why, okay? One of the decisions then affects the executive committee. So the Rules Committee makes the decisions about what the rules are gonna be, but it might turn out that the Unity Reform Commission suggests that the budget actually be seen by the executive committee. Now, this is unbelievable. If you don't know how the DNC works, and honestly, I didn't until recently, until after the election, and we began to dive into this, it turns out that there's only 2 people who are allowed to see the entirety of the DNC budget. So you guys all give money and you think it's gonna go to a good cause, and then Tom Perez, the chair, that's why they needed the chair. The chair can see the budget, the chair controls the budget, and the treasurer. And that's it, nobody else is allowed to see the budget. What, okay, now they might say, okay, hey, listen, man, we can't have the riffraff looking at our budget. I don't know that I agree with that, but at least there's some logic into, hey, wait, I don't want this to be public, okay? But at least some other folks should look at it at the DNC, right? Not, okay, I would argue all the DNC members, but they say, no, it can leak and we don't want it public, et cetera. But at least the executive committee, right? And right now the answer is no. So some folks on the Reform Commission are saying, let the executive committee see the budget. Why do they care about the budget? Because it's about the money, Lebowski. So the guys who are actually controlling the Democratic Party, when we say Clinton people, it's largely Democratic consultants. They're the ones making all the money. They're the ones that take your money, decide where it goes. And you're gonna be shocked to find out that a lot of it goes straight into their pockets. Gee, I wonder why they don't want anybody else to see the budget. So the Reform Commission suggested to the Rules Committee. The Rules Committee is now all Clinton people and it might kill it. But if it doesn't kill it and it passes it and then all of a sudden Perez, the chair, has to show the budget and how the money is spent to the executive committee, well then I got to get rid of the people in the executive committee who are Ellison people. So all of a sudden they're going to get purged. Ray Buckley, you ran for head of the whole organization. You've been part of this for 20 years. You're the chair of the New Hampshire Democratic Party, which is enormously important. Gone. Unity, my ass, you're gone. We can't have you people looking at the real numbers. James Zogby, the president of the Arab American Institute and prominent Sanders backer, is no longer co-chair of the Resolutions Committee and is also off the executive committee, a spot he has held since 2001. You've been there for decades. You've been there for the Democratic Party, but you made one mistake. You backed Bernie Sanders. Now the executive committee, if they're gonna look at the budget, we can't have anybody from Bernie's team looking at the budget. You're gone. It's gonna be fascinating to see what Keith Ellison does here. Because Keith Ellison will still be part of the executive committee because he's in the vice chair role, a role that they made up for him. So is he gonna say, oh, okay, I guess you took out all my guys, that's fine. Keith, when they came for James and they came for Ray and they came for all these other people, what did you do? So I don't know if he's gonna play ball, I don't know, I have no idea, I didn't talk to him, I don't know. On the one hand, he could stay and he would have access to the budget and maybe if there are issues, he could tell us. On the other hand, it doesn't look like anyone is left on those committees that the Clinton people don't trust. I can't believe the Clintons are still running the Democratic Party. She lost to Donald Trump and they still have a lock on it. Why? Because it's about the money. Okay, now more people who were taken out. Alice Drummond, the party's longtime former secretary and a vocal Ellison backer, who was removed from her large appointment to the DNC, she's gone. Barbara Casper Sipperstein, who supported Ellison and Buckley, was tossed from the executive committee. Man, lots of people leaving the executive committee, what a coincidence. Now, Alice Drummond says, it's quite unusual for a former party officer who's been serving on the DNC for forever to just be left out in the cold without even a call from the chairman. So I assumed it has something to do with myself support for Keith. So yeah, if all the people that were removed were Ellison and Sanders people and all the people who replaced them were Clinton backers, gee, I wonder if that had something to do with it, I can't quite tell. And what is the one thing that the DNC, the Democratic establishment, loves to do? They love to hide behind minorities. So they say, oh no, what are you talking about? We've got a black millennial transgender person and we got some other, and I got all this diversity. Wait, is there diversity of opinions? I mean, if they're millennials, most of the millennials are Bernie Sanders supporters. Are they Bernie Sanders supporters? Well, no, but they're black, but they're transgender, et cetera. So which brings us back to Sipperstein. She made a good point. Sipperstein, the DNC's first transgender member, said, I can't speak for Tom, but you talk about diversity, I'm extremely diverse. Jewish, veteran, transgender, lesbian, grandparent, and small business owner. So maybe it wasn't really about diversity. Maybe they're actually hiding behind diversity because they don't want diversity of ideas. Unity only if you bow your head. And if you don't, there's a red wedding in your future. So all these folks got invited in to what seemed like was a unity event and come to find out that the Clintons send their regards.
The DNC, I just read this yesterday, they're considering a resolution within the committee to get Angus King from Maine and Bernie Sanders, both independents, since they caucus with Democrats, to run as Democrats. Stop talking about this independent stuff. So part of it says this should be resolved. The DNC recognizes the important contributions of the independent senators, these two, and the draft also says They call on candidates and voters who share common goals and beliefs with Democrats to register or affiliate with the Democratic Party in 2017, 18, and beyond. So they can purge all of the people who support them within the committee, but then when they want them to run and have the heads and the faces not have an I next to their name, but a D, so that they can continue to say, these diverse people that are behind them in voting blocks are with us. But within the committee, we don't really care what's actually happening with their values and the people that support them.
That's right. And then another huge vote is coming, and that is on whether they're going to accept corporate cash or not. Progressives are saying no, we should be uncorrupted. You want to guess what the Tom Perez Clinton wing thinks? You know what they think. So they got to get ready for those votes, and they got to keep that money flowing in and then out the door to those consultants. We're going to run those TV ads. We're going to take their 15%. We're going to take your hard-earned money that you gave to the Democrats and run inefficient, terrible campaigns that lose the Republicans over and over again. But hey, at least their kids went to private school. Support independent media. Come join us at the Young Turks. TYTnetwork.com/join.